Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Hogan, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. I am really pumped today to have, I haven't even counted, 7 group members join me today who have said that they have something they just want to pass on to all of you. So, as you listen to their stories today, whether you are dealing with their same struggles, and I feel certain there will be people out there dealing with some of these same struggles, I hope you can open yourself up to the idea of, oh, instead of, well, I'm glad it's working for them. If it worked for them, maybe it could work for me, right? Have come to it with that. Maybe this could also work for me because all of us at one point heard somebody share a story and probably, I don't know about y'all, but had a thought of, well, I'm glad that works for them. I still have family members, maybe y'all relate, who will sometimes say, well, glad it works for you. Have y'all heard things like that before? And you're like, it might work for you too, right? If we just give it a shot. So, first up, I have Jody. Jody, thanks for coming on today. What has carnivore done for you? What's your story, babe?
I have had a really long history of autoimmune disease. I started in my early 20s. When I was in my early 20s, I would get a yeast infection every single month, a heavy
Oh,
duty one. And I used to get severe canker sores. I had Hashimoto's, and I have been told by doctors that once you get an autoimmune disease, you will get more. And I have progressively gotten more. I probably have seven. I got to a place where I had such severe chronic fatigue. I also have adrenal disorder, and the chronic fatigue was so bad. I would go home in the afternoon from work, sleep 3 hours, and go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. And it was just debilitating. I had four kids at home. It was not a good situation. So I went to a functional medicine doctor. He put me on the autoimmune protocol diet. I did that for 10 months faithfully, never cheated once. And it helped, but it was so hard to do. And I just felt like I can't live my life like this. Like I can't go out. I have to take food everywhere I go. And it just was not conducive to my lifestyle or anything. I don't know how it's conducive to anybody's. My husband came home a year ago in December and told me about a gentleman that was doing carnivore. He had been doing it for 5 years to help with diabetes, and it had been a miracle worker for him. My husband and I do a ton of research, so we started watching YouTube videos. You are one of my very favorites. We did so much to make sure we were on track when I started. I have been doing it for almost 14 months now, and I have lost weight, which is great. I'm grateful for that. It's been 25 pounds. I didn't need a lot, but the pain is gone. I had rheumatoid arthritis. I had plantar fasciitis where I would get out of bed and could barely walk. I would sit down on the floor to take pictures of my grandkids, and I couldn't figure out how to get up with any kind of grace at all. And now I feel like I did 10, 20 years ago. And so to me, that is a miracle. And out of everything I've done to help myself, this is the biggest miracle I've ever found. And it's not a horrible way to eat. I mean, I like meat. So hey, that works for me. So it's been a miracle for me.
Oh, Jody, my goodness,
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I honestly, I had no idea.
Yes.
Also, you have grandchildren. My
I
God,
do. I
you look,
have five grandkids.
you look
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you so much.
Just seeing you on screen in the groups, I would have never guessed that you had any health problem. I
Oh,
certainly would
thank
not have
you.
guessed that you could have grandchildren. You look wonderful and to feel good. Hey, you know what? My son asked me probably a month ago, Mom, what is your biggest fear? And I was making dinner. I didn't have any good answer. I was like, I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not, I don't know. I said something. I think I
Right.
said like a fear of failure. It was kind of lame. And he said, not me. My biggest fear is being in constant pain. And I was
Absolutely.
like, oh, no, that's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Because I've only had, say, like a really bad toothache,
hmm
something it's all you can think about. So
Right.
for you to have your life back from that, I'm just so
Right.
happy.
My mother-in-law has rheumatoid arthritis and it's very severe. She's almost 80 years old and she's in the most excruciating pain.
Oh,
Some days we talk to her and she's just in tears and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see and I just can't go there. I've got too active of a life. I've got kids and grandkids and two of my kids haven't even had grandbabies yet. So I've got more to come. And
oh.
so I want to be able to enjoy that. And so I am going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
So,
And you said it's not the easiest thing, and I get that
no,
because if you're at a
mm-mm,
party and you're surrounded by
yeah,
stuff, you might feel like, why does everybody else get to eat this and I can't? And I get that.
right.
But then also to think about what you've gained by giving
Yes.
up those things. Like,
Absolutely.
it's
And
the,
I also see a lot of people that I can look at them and they'll start telling me about their ailments and everything. And you mention something to help them and they just don't even want to hear it. So it's like, at least I'm willing to do the work to make it happen. And you have to be willing to do that. It has to be important to you.
yes. At least
So,
our work is really tasty
yes,
and,
yes,
and comes in the form of bacon and ribs and
yes.
chicken.
And butter. Oh, yes, it's
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Jody.
You're
If
welcome.
anybody is listening who is struggling with chronic pain and autoimmune, I hope they really hear what you're saying and
I do
reach out
too.
for a lifeline. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, I have Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. What did you want to pass on today?
I am 43 years old and perimenopause hit me pretty hard. I think it came from I was doing for quite a long time high protein, low fat carnivore diet.
Yes.
This was not successful for me at all. And honestly, I think it is what triggered all of my hormones dropping out where things just went super duper crazy. I had no idea. I was lean, I was like thin, muscular, but I literally had no energy. I would train for like an hour, hour and a half, and like the rest of the day, I would want to just sleep on the couch. And I was binging, right? Because I would restrict eating 200, 250 grams of protein, probably 85, 90 grams of fat. And then it would get to the point where I would just binge. So it was like a really bad cycle. So when I joined your group in January, because I'm all about joining things. I like to join things. I like to be a part of a community. It's like really important. So I did take my measurements in January. And since then, even eating now, back when I was high protein, low fat, I was eating about 1,500 calories.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Then all my hormones tanked. I gained about 25 pounds.
Mm.
Got a good moment for me. Anyways, when I started in January, I took my measurements and then I just took them last week and I was down 3 inches on my waist. I have not weighed myself because I know that can get pretty sticky. Do I still want to lose some more fat? Yes, but honestly, I feel like hopefully my hormones are coming back into play because it is super important for women. I feel like really good. I have a lot of energy. I can play with my kids. I can have time with my husband. And I think that's more important to me than
Mhm.
being a certain size or certain leanness. Honestly, I feel like better than ever. And my husband's like, wow, like you're just glowing and
Oh.
you look really good, physically, emotionally, whatever. I just feel really good. I've lost inches, so I don't really know.
Yeah,
Eating a lot of food.
that's the dream. You're eating a lot of food. You're losing inches, which people see inches. Nobody cares about your scale. Nobody,
Sure.
right?
Right.
It's not like we're gonna wear a t-shirt. I lost 5 pounds. You're losing inches. Your clothes are fitting. You're glowing.
Yeah, they are. I just tried on I wasn't going to do the before and after here, but I was like, let me try on these pants, which is in January, they did not fit.
Oh,
And they fit and I have room and I look really good.
I'm so happy
You
for
know?
you. So I tried low-fat carnivore before. And okay, I'm sure people have questions. What would they be wanting to know? What's considered low fat? I personally don't like to see people's fat go below 60% of their total calories. So I know some people can get away with, say, the 50 to 60, but do you have any idea where your macros were before on low fat carnivore?
Like 80 grams of fat a day.
Okay. Okay.
There was a lot of problems with that. And I did that for over 8 months. I was training for a competition.
Yeah.
And I finally told my coach, I'm like, I can't do it. And
Right.
I went and had the biggest, fattest steak of my life. And I tracked that and it was like 2,500 calories. And I texted my coach. I was like, listen, I don't care, but like I got my mojo back and I feel good and I can't go back. So Even though I always want to do the new thing, like that's not an option for me because I felt so sick.
Yeah. Yeah, that was me on low fat carnivore. And if anybody's watching and thinking, but I thought protein was good, we're not anti-protein. But we
Right.
have three options. As a carnivore, we've eliminated one of those. So we got two options. There are no carbs. We have fat and protein.
That's right.
Protein is essential. We would die without it. So we are pro living, pro protein. But
Right.
fat is the energy source. And when somebody says, I have no energy on carnivore, that's the first red flag. You're like, what are you eating? And it's typically very lean. And I too, I got lean eating very lean carnivore. I had dark circles, sunken eyes. I had no interest in my husband. I didn't feel good at all. So the relief that my body felt is what you're describing. When I got that fat back in, it's like I felt my life coming back into my body. Your message to people today is very important.
Life changing.
Changing. I'm thrilled for you. You look gorgeous. And to hear that you're feeling good and your clothes are fitting and you're eating more, win, 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 baby. I love it. Thank you.
Thanks
Appreciate
for letting me
it.
share.
And next up, I have Craig. Hey, Craig, how are you today?
Good, thanks, Kelly. So a little bit about me. My wife and I are both carnivore. We dabbled keto and carnivore for a bit and became consistently carnivore in 2022. Now, Nanette, unlike me, she doesn't have metabolic syndrome. She got to her ideal weight quite quickly. She had lots of chronic pain issues, though, and a lifelong IBS and constipation, and carnivore took care of all of those. For me, back in 2022, within 1 month of going carnivore, my daily lower back pain was gone. I used to look crazy getting out of bed. It was really tough. I always felt like there's like some giant holding my spine really tight.
Oh.
It was awful. 1 month, that went away. My plantar fasciitis went away, got rid of all the expensive orthotics. And recently I moved to barefoot shoes, which are just amazing. I'm no longer pre-diabetic. My blood pressure stabilized. I had diverticulitis, that went away, and that was all within the first month. So it was just
Oh my
amazing.
gosh.
Within 2 months, cravings went away. It took me about 6 weeks for cravings to go away, and all that food noise, as I call it, was gone. And that just was amazing because I always heard, oh, cravings this, and cravings go away. And I'm like, what are people talking about? And until it happened,
Yes.
wow. I lost 30 pounds, no longer obese. I've been obese since the age of 5. Lifetime knee pain, gone. So other wins I had, I'm no longer a mosquito magnet. I used to go outside and people would want to stand next to me, right? Oh, let's go stand next to Craig because that's like their idea of bug protection. No, they don't bother me anymore. I no longer have BO, no bad breath. I used to get a lot of sunburn on the top of my head.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen anymore. I go outside. I don't have to have a hat on. The biggest thing that shocked me, though, at the 4-month mark, I said I do a lot of hiking, and we go on these with my disabled daughter. She has autism, but we had to do something. So she and I do a lot of hiking, and we go on these moderate to difficult trails. And within these trails, they have steps built into the mountain that are really steep and long. And I'm hiking along, and I suddenly said, I got to run up these. And I ran up the stairs. I ran up this long flight of stairs. I got to the top, and I was like, what just happened? I used to have knee pain. It used to hurt to do this, even though we did it, and there was no pain. And now we hike all the time. And what do? We get to all these different stairs. I run up them. It's just there. It's what you do. But two things that I wanted to talk about today. One of them is sleep. The other is hearing. Okay. So let's see. 2015, I did a sleep study. I was a terrible snorer. I used to keep Nanette awake all night. She said, let's do a sleep study. Did a sleep study. Found out I had obstructive sleep apnea. Started wearing a CPAP. I went from that to wearing a CPAP. I went with the full mask. In 2021, I started mouth taping. Wasn't carnivore yet, so I started doing the mouth tape. When I became carnivore, after 2 months of being carnivore, you have your little app in the morning in your phone. My incidence went to 0. And then I went to my annual appointment with my sleep doctor. He said, I'm looking at your score. I want to talk about quality of life. And I said, okay. And he goes, what is the benefit right now of you wearing a CPAP? I'm like, well, I sleep. He goes, well, according to all the data I'm getting from your machine, it's doing nothing for you. Oh. He goes, I want you to come off of it. And I came off of it, still mouth taping, and I had the same level of energy and have had the same level of energy since coming off CPAP. So the carnivore, the weight loss, the inflammation being gone, all that together with the mouth taping, no CPAP, it's fabulous. Last month, I added the nose strips, and wow, if you're not wearing nose strips, you're missing 50% of the benefit of mouth taping. It just blew my mind, the difference between that. Even with mouth taping, I had trouble sleeping on my side still. And I don't know if that was from wearing a CPAP or not. But with the nose strip, I can sleep in whatever position I want to. I'm getting so much oxygen. And I'd recommend anybody who wants to try mouth taping, I would start with the nostril strip first. Get used to this. Get used to getting more air into your nose, and then do the mouth taping. Whether you start with the NextCare, because that's where I started, NextCare Sensitive Skin, the roll of tape. That's what I did for years. I tried Somnifix, not a fan. That's Nanette's brand. She loves it.
Yes.
Went to PAP MD, better for me.
That's my brand too.
Hostage tape is where I ended up, but it could be because of mustache and beard. It's, you can see the difference in size.
Yes.
So easier on, easier off for me, but it's just fabulous.
You've got me doing the nasal strip too. So listen, for anybody listening at home, if you've been afraid to try mouth taping, first of all, if you are a nasal breather naturally, my husband is, he does not need to mouth tape. He does not snore. He doesn't have apnea. That's great. But I, however, had all of the snoring and the dry mouth and the drooling and the apnea issues as well, even after losing weight. So for me, mouth taping was great, but some people say they just can't get enough air through their nostrils. And so I started trying the nasal strip. It's like your little air passages just go, and you can suddenly get so much air. And so your nitric oxide levels are going to go up. And this is good. We want nitric oxide levels up. It helps prevent leg cramps and muscle fatigue. And you're just going to feel better. I feel like your color is just even better. You told me that you're just sleeping so much better, Craig. So this is awesome. Thank you for passing that on.
Another thing I want to tell you about is hearing. About 4 years ago, I noticed a lot of the conversations, she would say something, and every answer was, what? Excuse me? Didn't catch that. And she said, I think you need to go get your hearing tested. And I did. And I found out that what I was missing was the very high end.
Yes.
And it's interesting when you start to lose hearing, I can hear, but I can't understand what people are saying. At the high end are all those consonants. Got hearing aids, took care of that, was great. And I noticed after about a year, I thought I was hearing better. I told her, I think I'm hearing better. So I went to my annual appointment with my audiologist in January. We had my hearing tested. And yes, I am hearing better. My hearing has gotten better. I can have conversations. I no longer wear my hearing aids unless I'm going to be in a crowded area like a restaurant or someplace where there's a crowd. Other than that, I no longer need them. And the funny part about this is the audiologist, she's in her 30s, and she's like, oh, I'm trying to find my way in health and whatnot. And she said, what have you done? Because none of my patients' hearing gets better. She goes, it never always starts at this point and gets worse and worse and worse, and you're going the other way. So I started talking about things I've done. I've gone carnivore. I get my sleep. I've done mouth taping. And we sat there for about 40 minutes talking through all this.
Yes.
And at the end of the appointment, she goes, there's absolutely no charge today. She says, I feel like I came to you for help. And you've done so much in my journey of me finding health that no charge. We're good.
Oh.
So it was a fun appointment. It's like one of the best doctors I've ever had. So much fun. I was able to share so much knowledge. And I actually sent her to all of your sites and to the videos as well. I'm texting her all this stuff. Go look here, look at this one, watch this one. So
that is so cool. Every bit of it. Blood pressure is better, and he can hear you, and he can sleep, and he's had all these results, and he's running up steps. So dudes out there, what are you waiting for?
Jump in. For sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig. I love you and your wife so much. For those that don't know, Nanette, his wife, is one of my assistant coaches in the group. She is on every single group call. She helps lead some of our breakout rooms, and she brings so much joy to every room she enters. And so do you. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks.
All right. This is fun. I am having a great time, and I can't wait to hear what Michaela wants to share today. Hi, Michaela.
Hey, Kelly, thanks for having me. I was doing keto for a few years, got rid of plantar fasciitis and a few things, but I was still pre-diabetic, hadn't lost all my weight, and I kind of started going down. My mom had passed away from cancer, so I was going through this rabbit hole of natural prevention of cancer. Like, what can I do to prevent cancer? So I also had really bad arthritis, and so I started to go down that rabbit hole of remedies for arthritis, and I found Dr. Fleckis on YouTube talking about borax for arthritis, but he also was speaking on iodine.
Okay.
So I went down the iodine rabbit hole and found Dr. David Brownstein and watched all his videos and listened to him and got tested. And I was deficient, which I wasn't surprised. Started on the iodine right away. Basically went on it to prevent like breast cancer from what my mom passed away from and just to keep my organs healthy. But almost immediately, I would say within 5 to 7 days, I noticed that I was able to go to sleep at night without my mind racing.
Yeah.
So I used to use gummies to go to sleep at night for probably about a year, just from stress. And, you lay down at night and you think about everything in the world. Within 7 to 10 days, I was going to sleep, laying down, going to sleep. And then during the day, like my mind shut down at night, but during the day, I was alert. I wouldn't say I had more energy like I do with carnivore, but my brain just stayed awake. I was alert all day, didn't need the afternoon caffeine kick. That just kind of went away, didn't need that at all anymore. And then also I had restless leg, and my restless leg went away within 3 weeks. It was 90% fixed. And carnivore took care of the rest of that. So the carnivore healed that. So the iodine rabbit hole led me to carnivore, basically. I was still not wanting to be diabetic. I had total family history, which I really, don't believe in family history of diabetes. It's more of what are you eating?
Yes.
And so took care of the pre-diabetic, lost weight. Like Craig, one of the biggest things that I found was that carnivore cures, and I say that it cures sleep apnea. I've slept every single night for the past 20 years, the CPAP.
Oh.
And I have not missed one night. And I am no longer using a CPAP.
Awesome.
And I'm using mouth taping. That's new to me, about 3 weeks.
Okay.
I've heard it takes time for you to get all the benefits of mouth taping, but literally within the first night, my husband was like, I think you solved the snoring problem. So now that he just mentioned the nose strip, I'm getting on Amazon.
Yeah.
Get some nose strips and fix that too.
Yeah.
So, I just knew it took me a little longer to get over the sleep apnea than what I've heard other people. It took about 10 months. But I just trust the process. I knew everything else was getting better. My mental clarity, I'm off all meds, off of everything. So, and next month will be a year. So,
oh, congrats.
I know a lot of people find it difficult to do carnivore, but like, I don't know. My mindset is like, it's either this or, be sick. And to me, it's just, my brain is just like, I'm never going back to eating the other way, ever. It's just amazing.
Choose your hard, right?
You really do. It's really
Yeah.
choosing you choose, this is bad for me, this is good for me. So I love it.
I love it too. And I love you. I'm so excited. So you found iodine before carnivore. I usually hear the story go the other way. So the tickets for you have been carnivore diet, recently mouth taping, probably future nasal strips. I hope to hear a report on how that goes. But iodine came first. So I'm sure people are wondering, is this Lugol's iodine? Are you using drops?
Yes. I'm using the Lugol's 2%.
Okay.
I take pretty high dose because of my family history. And I do the 25 milligrams. I was doing 50 for a few months, but I went down to 25. That's where I seem to feel the best. I was probably on iodine for about 6 weeks or so before I started on carnivore, but they're kind of linked. I mean, go down that rabbit hole and it just kind of sends you to this rabbit hole.
Yes. So when you say 25 milligrams, do you mind telling about how many drops that is of Lugol's 2%?
I just do 2 dropperfuls, which averages out to about, I just go boop, boop, just 2 full dropperfuls.
I got you.
Maybe some days it's a little less, some days it's a little bit more, but I was doing 50 milligrams for months and I didn't have any problem. I haven't had any of the negative effects that some people have when they first start. I did tighter up.
Okay.
I started with 2 drops, and I doubled it every week.
Okay.
Until I got to where, I watched hours of videos, Dr. Brownstein read books. So, I didn't, and I did get tested mostly so that my kids wouldn't say, Mom, you're crazy. What are you doing now? Like, I have proof that I needed it.
I really like the way you went about that. So for those listening, we do not recommend that you just automatically go out and start putting 2 dropperfuls of iodine in your coffee every day. I love the fact that you got tested. And if somebody hasn't been tested, I think 2 drops of 2%, that's what Dr. Berry recommends starting with.
Right.
And then just give your body a little time, see how it feels. If you feel anything negative, you might either stay there or back off. Sometimes people can get some either detoxing. I do this because I actually had a little bit of cystic acne come back when I first started taking it. And then I had to back off and then slowly bump up for a while too. So I like that you titrated up, that you found your sweet spot, and when you got up to a certain amount that you later found that you were able to back off, and now you feel good. I'm so excited for you, Kayla. I hope some
Amazing.
of those tips help somebody else too. I hear the iodine thing from a lot of people, so I'm glad
Yeah.
you're passing that on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my next guest that I have today is Jules. I have known Jules now for quite some time in the groups, and she has had an incredible carnivore journey. Tell us a little more, Jules.
Hey, I'm 64 now. I lost 130 pounds. Even got down to close to my goal weight, which is 140. For me, no cheeses in anything. I had discussed it in class why I had it because I was doing reverse diet to get to higher calories because I had always been so used to eating under. I had to go back up, and I was losing from going high, high, high. But I added something that tastes so divine, and it just didn't work for me. So I eliminated it. And sure enough, went reverse diet again because I went from 144 to 159 and I dropped 8 pounds. I'm 150 now.
Let me pause you for a quick second to make sure we're all on the same page. So, y'all, she lost 130 pounds, which let's just moment of silence. Amazing. Amazing. She also quit smoking during the time she lost 130 pounds. Amazing. Okay, once you got down lower, then at some point you realized, oh, I'm not really eating quite enough calories, right? So
Yeah.
you had lost weight, but it also started cutting calories, as many people do as they're losing weight because they want to keep the ball rolling. So you did the brave, hard thing. You started to reverse diet and you added calories back, slowly, slowly inching up, but you actually continued losing weight even as you did that.
Right.
But then you started adding back, it was carnivore bread. And so it's a very cheesy recipe to make bread.
I made the decision to give it up, and I did. And sure enough, I started losing weight.
Yeah.
And then I went back to reversing calories, started losing again. And also, I want to say something real quick that you mentioned about my smoking. This is a year in Kelly Hogan's class this month.
Oh.
And I quit smoking the month that I joined. It was easier this time, everybody, because I went carnivore. It was easy to step off.
Huh.
And then I replaced it with cycling. I cycle 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening. But I took my bad habit and replaced it with a good habit that I learned in this class. Wish I would have joined earlier, but I'm here now. And it has evolved into the most greatest journey of my life.
Oh, Jules, I am so honored to have had you in the groups for a year and to have seen just the amazing amount of progress for us to come on the Zoom calls and troubleshoot and talk about wins and talk about cheese and to figure things out together. I'm so excited for you. I'm sure people who are looking at your photos on this video are going to be like, oh my gosh, I want what she has.
And another thing is when you evolve, you find peace. Giving up the cigarettes, I decided your class was was going to heal me. And my husband said, okay, he didn't believe me, but it worked. So investing in this class was also investing in me. And I'm severely dyslexic, and I'm able to ask questions on the Zoom. And I let everybody know in the thing I'm dyslexic, and everybody still gets my spelling and is embracing and loving. And this is what is incredible. Because when you are understood, it helps you to understand yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful. When you are understood and you felt understood and you felt accepted and understood, then it helped you to understand and accept yourself as well. Oh, that's really lovely. Thank you, Jules. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing today. It's going to hit somebody just right. So thank you. Next up, I have group member Chris. How are you, Chris?
Hi, Kelly. I have been on every diet you could name. If you name a diet, I've done it, and always struggling with the diabetes, and have never gotten my A1C below 5.9. And I have been doing carnivore for 4 months. I'll get to that in a minute, but I've been with you for a month now. So I'm a baby. I just started this journey and I got my labs done last week and my blood sugar was 4.8, which
Oh my word.
smack in the middle of green and normal. And I was stunned. I didn't believe it when I saw it. So, I mean, that is the biggest victory for me, having been diabetic for 45 years.
Amazing.
And it took in 4 months. 4 months.
That's incredible. A lot of people think diabetes, once you're diabetic, you're always diabetic, can't fix that. And here you are, 4 months.
And that is just, and I haven't felt deprived once. I love this way of eating. It's so easy and it's so good. I want to talk about my big why. Why? How did I get into this and why did I begin it? 2017, on my birthday, in November, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I went through that. I didn't want to do chemo because it was stage 1. So I did surgery, diet, and radiation. Got through that. In November this year, I went for my 7-year oncology checkup, my annual checkup, and said, hey, doc, 7 years, yay. And then I had my mammogram. And it came back positive. Different cancer, different breasts, much more aggressive. Big decision, big shock. And so instead of being on my 71st birthday cruise, I was in surgery. And it was shocking. And to get a second diagnosis was very difficult. I'm feeling more emotional than I expected to. Anyway, I decided I need to figure this out. Why is my body making cancer? What about me is producing cancer? Because it runs in my family on both sides. And I wanted to figure this out. I have 3 kids, 10 grandkids, and 2 great grandkids. They're my big why. I want to figure out why. So I was a researcher in high tech for 40 years. So it was natural for me to say, figure it out. And I went online and I found Dr. Boz and Dr. Berry first and learned about ratios and GKI and how to battle cancer holistically with, and I'm still did surgery and I'm doing radiation. I'm in the middle of that right now. But I didn't want to do chemo. And so I felt like a nomad wandering in the wilderness. Who do I talk to? I had one friend that talked about carnivore. And so she and I talked, and then together, then we found you, Kelly Hogan. And we decided, let's join her group together. And that was only a month ago. And I feel so amazingly much better and strong, feeling like this might be it. This might be the missing piece of my puzzle. I've been struggling with my weight my entire life. I have lost 40 pounds already, and it's been quick, but I have a long way to go. But I want victory over cancer. That's my big why. And the one thing that I want to say is when you go into this way of eating, to have a really strong why, everybody has a really strong why. And that's what you lean back on when you are tempted or when you just want something else besides meat, is what's your why. And one thing I have found in this group is not only just support and so much information, Kelly, I can't begin to tell you, but the people in the group are so loving, so supportive, and they always turn you back to your why. Remember why you're doing this, and you can do it, you can stay on track. And it's not that hard once you get over the crazy voices in the head, the monkey voices. And I can walk in a grocery store and say, there's not much in here I can eat anymore. And so just keeping diet simple and just the way you have made everything simple, by you don't need a million foods, you don't need to be a gourmet cook, you cook the simple food. And so anyway, I can't begin to tell you how wonderful that this journey has become. And I'm in the middle of radiation, so look at how good I look and feel.
Yes, the fact that you can be here smiling and positive and passing on encouragement to other people while you are in the midst of this journey. Oh man, hero status, Chris. I am so honored to know you. Thank you for passing this on. Listen, maybe somebody is listening and going, "Well, I don't have cancer." Well, as far as I know, me neither. And I don't want it. And cancer feeds on glucose. None of us should be thinking, well, I don't have to worry about that. I'm so thankful that you are here to remind us that we do all have this why. If we're not wanting to be diagnosed with something, prevention alone is a huge reason for me. I want to stay healthy, and I am sincerely continuing to pray that you will have full recovery from this. And I'm just so grateful that during this time that you have taken this opportunity to offer encouragement to others. Thank you, Chris. And next up, we have True. Hi, True. What's your story?
Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so inspired listening to everyone. Well, let me introduce myself. I live in New Zealand, land and meat. So it makes me wonder, why the hang haven't I been doing carnivore really my whole life? Because meat everywhere. I'm 51 years old. I've been suffering from chronic illness since I was 8 years old.
Oh.
So this has been a lifelong battle. Some of the other ladies have been saying autoimmune disorders, a severe spinal disorder, a lot of stuff. And of course, being a child, a lot of pharmaceuticals put into me, and it really wrecked my gut biome. So hence, it's been a lifelong struggle with pain from endometriosis, adenomyosis, severe chronic fatigue, several years struggling to get out of bed, but still having to be a solo mum. So it's been a lifelong journey. I was told a long time ago that you're going to be in a wheelchair, life's going to get worse, and I went, well, no, other people get better somewhere, so I'm going to get better too. So it's been 40 years. I was starting to go down again. I think menopause was starting to set in. I was getting a lot more intense pain with my adenomyosis and endometriosis. So I talked to my doctor and said, what do we do now, doc? What do we do now? And he said, carnivore. Can you do carnivore for a week? And I went, yes. Eat meat for a week. Yeah, I can do that. And then during that week, he sent me some links. And from that links, gradually, I found your group, Kelly. And I went, oh, this is a longer than a week. This is a long game. This is a long game. So I'm now 4 months in. Almost 4 months. And this is my 3rd month in the group. And oh my gosh, what I've really got from this is the support, the connection, the network. You can't get over 40 years of chronic illness, staying in your own head and doing it alone. And a lot of this journey, I have been stayed like strong and independent, and had a lot of fears over how people would see me, and a lot of overwhelm. Yeah. So even when I stepped into doing this diet, I was like, oh, there's so much more to it. But there's also so much more health I can gain back. It's not just going to be getting rid of the pain or the fatigue. There was also really bad depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of self-doubt. So that was a real major goal for me. So I really got that. I hesitated joining the group to begin with, because I'm like, oh, am I good enough to join a group? Well, that's absolute. Yeah. That came from all that past fear and anxiety. So I really got from listening to Kelly's YouTube videos. Oh, look at all these women, and watch videos like this, getting inspired by these women. It's like, oh my gosh, if they can do it, then I can do it. And this is a long game. I've got to be in it for the long haul. And not try and be a perfectionist and do all the things and try and be perfect at it. Just come as I am. And there was a lady, Lisa, one day that was on one of the group calls, and she was crying. She's like, I'm a cry. And I'm like, oh, that's good to know, because sometimes I cry too. And what if I start crying? So it's okay,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I really wanted to bring to this video is just the power and the changes that have come from commitments. And it's made the different habits in my life that I thought overwhelming, that I've been trying to do for decades. All of a sudden, in a matter of weeks, they're easy. I'm like, how the heck did that happen? And this is how this happened. They've become easy. So I, would wake up in the morning normally overwhelmed, already starting to feel depressed. But now I'm like, okay, I wake up, I do a prayer, I drink my liter of water, I do go outside, I ground, I look at the sun, I do stretches, all that before coffee. And that's what I really got before the commitments, because I struggled with those to begin with, because I went into overwhelm again.
Yeah.
And then I saw on the Facebook page different comments and people sharing things. And one of the things that was it might have actually been the newsletters. And a word that struck me that you put in, Kelly, was you said, support everyone with with their wins, with their losses, but don't enable. And that really got me. I went, oh, I keep enabling myself with those negative thoughts. So it wasn't so much from other people, it was this voice that was coming in, and I was enabling my doubts and putting myself down. So from that moment, that was a game-changing thing, I think. So this is just one of the examples of the gains that I've got from being in the group that I wouldn't have got if I was staying in my own head. So now I'm consistent. I'm eating only animal products. It's, and it's easy. I'm drinking, 3 liters of water a day. And, at 51 years old, it's taken me up until the last few weeks to do that. Now that's easy. I wouldn't go without it. I'm adding, little bits of salt to it. There's so much, I could share and go on and on and on, but that's the basis of it, is that what I want to express is how impactful and important it is to have a really good, environment, a really good crew, a really good team, and a really good coach. Or several coaches, because you've got so many sub coaches in the group that are amazing too. And but everyone feels like friends and family now.
Oh, true. I love that message so much. It is easier to do the work when there are people around you doing it too. I've thought about it before. Like when I was in school, I had this one teacher who was so good at classroom management. And she would give us a homework assignment, and I would go back to my desk, and I was a little people pleaser, a little teacher pleaser, right? So I would go and do my work. And in her class, Miss Houston, she was my favorite. If you looked around, everybody's working. And so if I looked around, you just go right back to work, right? And then I had a teacher who I will not say the name, who was not good at classroom management. She was a good teacher, but the room was always kind of crazy. So I would go to do my little assignment, and you look around and realize I'm the only one doing anything. And it was very uninspiring. It didn't make me want to put my head down and do the work because I was the only one working. And I feel like when we're together and every night I log on and see people to say, commitments met. I did my commitments. I enjoyed my meat today. Here's what I ate today. It's like, oh, me too. It feels so good to be surrounded by people who are also showing up.
It is, and that's why I love too, because my goal shifted to commitments, and that word as well, as along with an enabling. That's what I wake up hearing. Oh, I'm committed to this. And sometimes my morning routine, I've realized that, sort of 8 o'clock at night, oh, I didn't finish that. I'm like, I'm going to finish my morning routine now, even though it's 8 p.m.
Yeah. Thanks, True. I love having you in the group. I love your posts. I love seeing you on camera. You look amazing. I can't even believe that you struggled with all of that for this long of a time. You are a true fighter, and I'm really proud of you. So thank you. All right, y'all, we have one more story to hear. I've had such an amazing time listening to all of these, and now I'm excited to hear from Elizabeth. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me on. So my story began at the end of 2023, And I went to a birthday party and somebody took a picture at the birthday party, and I was horrified when I saw the picture because I didn't realize I looked like that. So I started eliminating the bread and really cutting down the sugar. And then a couple months later, a friend told me about you and to start watching you on YouTube. And, she was talking to me about trying carnivore, but it took me a little while to start until March. So I started March of last year. As of today, I'm down 104 pounds.
Oh my word.
And my blood pressure is back to normal range. My skin is amazing. I don't have itchy, flaky, red face. My energy level is incredible. I can walk farther than the mailbox. I can walk 3 miles now. The pain's gone, the foggy brain, and I'm sure I was depressed. And I know I had PTSD because I was in the hurricanes in Puerto Rico in 2017. And it took me 2 months to be able to leave the island to come back to Seattle because I live north of Seattle. And that's all gone. I sleep better, wake up rested. So I think that's my story for today.
Well, that's a lot. That's incredible, Elizabeth. Over 100 pounds. So is your friend really proud of you, the one who first talked to you about this?
Yes, and she was a vegan, but she started doing carnivore so she can gain weight. And she's gained like 5 or 6 pounds, which is really good. And her joints they were loosening up, and she was having to get pins and stuff in her joints. And so, yes, and other people, I found out my childhood friend that I've known since she was born, and she was doing keto. And so we talk about everything, and it's been inspirational for her and her daughters starting, and it's like being an example. And I sent the picture of my before to my friend, and she goes, "That's not you."
Amazing. Oh, well, you are spreading all kinds of ripples in your own life, and I guarantee you're making a little splash right now, baby. This is awesome.
I would say the advice is just take one step at a time of what you can do, because I didn't go cold turkey into carnivore. I did it a step at a time, drinking more water, electrolytes, um, exercising. In the summer, it's a lot easier because I have a big yard to mow and it's easier to walk. And so I have a treadmill now to walk on, and I do Qigong, lymphatic drainage. At least every other day, if not every day. And that takes about 10 minutes. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, but just a step at a time and do what you can do and make the commitments and keep them to yourself.
That is amazing advice. Great words of encouragement. Start somewhere, right? Just gain some consistency in something, and then you can build on it, right? Because one thing feels good and it starts to snowball, and it makes you want to do something else. Yeah, that's really wise. Thank you, Elizabeth. I am thrilled for you. I'm so excited for all of you amazing humans here today. That this is just really encouraging. And I hope that those of you who are watching right now, if you are hurting or in pain and you have told yourself, this is just how life is going to be, it's genetic, it runs in my family, there's nothing to do about it, that you can hear there might be something you could do about it, and it might be meat. Right? It might be cutting out the inflammatory foods. Maybe start with added sugar, cut it out, and flour, gluten, and then start whittling it down to what feels really good. And for everyone on this screen, it's animal products. It's meat. Correct? Y'all nod at me now. I'm not speaking for you. That's what we eat. So I want everybody to understand we eat meat, a variety of meats. I think many carnivores focus more on beef and lamb, but I also eat pork and chicken. I eat a variety of meats and eggs, a little dairy. Dairy works better for some than for others. And that's it. That's what we eat. And we feel really good doing it. And it's delicious and nourishing, and it just might give some of you relief if you were to try it. So thank you to everybody who's watching, and thank you for all of you who have joined in to share. If anybody is willing to post in the comments a word of thanks for those who gave of their time today, I'm sure they would appreciate hearing from you. So see all of you next time. Thank you. Bye. Wow. Nailed it.